Okay, now listen to me very, very carefully. This voice is not of the petrol cars. Everybody is saying that this voice is of the petrol cars. It is not. Hello, everyone. Today we are going to study A Tiger in the Zoo, that is written by Leslie Norris. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage, on pads of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. So we know that for animals we are supposed to use the word it, it. But sometimes when people have an emotional bonding to that animal, they may use he or she. Like here, the poet has used the word he for the tiger. Sometimes people even use this gender specific pronouns for, let's say, for example, their car, which is a non living thing, because they're emotionally attached to their car. Now, so the tiger is walking in his cage. How is he walking? He is stalking. You might have noticed people who are tensed or angry, they repeatedly walk from one point to another, like in a to and fro motion. That kind of walk is called stalking. Okay? So vivid means bright, and the fur of the tiger is bright. Okay? And you have seen a tiger, there are stripes on his fur. I also want to add that when the tiger is old, they tend to lose the vibrance or that brightness of their fur. Maybe the poet is trying to convey us that as the fur of the tiger is bright, the tiger is young. Because when they get old, they tend to lose the vibrance of their fur. So what is happening here? They have brought a very young tiger. He's going to waste all his youth in that cage. Then on pads of velvet quiet, look, animals have very soft pads under their paws. Just like humans, we have our fingers. Fleshy part of the finger is used to detect temperature, or it is a quite sensitive area. If you have pets, you will see that is a pad underneath their paws. And those pads work as a cushion for them. It protects their paws. All right? In his quiet rage. So his anger is quiet. That's because if he's expressing his anger, it's of no use, isn't it? What if he's roaring? Nobody cares. Nobody will be scared of him because he's locked inside that strong cage. He's frustrated within and he's not expressing his anger because there is no use. And we as human beings, you'll understand that we express anger only when we want to improve things or scare people who harm us, right? And this stanza is so much in contrast to the character of a tiger, which is known as the symbol of strength. And the tiger is a ferocious animal. And look what people have done to him. Okay, remember the word ferocious, okay? It's a good word. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass near the water hole where plum deer pass. Lurking means hiding in order to wait for the prey. You might have seen an animal hiding behind a grass or hiding behind a bush, just waiting for that prey. So he should be lurking in shadow. He should be means he's supposed to. He's supposed to lurk in shadow. And sliding through it means move smoothly through those grass near the water hole where plum deer pass. Okay, water hole is a pit of water, small pit of water. And plump means to be chubby or a bit fat, but in an attractive way, just like babies, you know. So why should the deer be plump? Because look, if the deer is very skinny or not healthy, it won't look delicious to the tiger, okay? And tigers are not fed good food in the zoo. I mean, tigers and lions, they are made to hunt, kill, and then consume the meat. That is who they are. That's what their instincts are. And animals are not made to hunt in the zoo. They are fed food. These animals by nature, they don't even eat dead meat. If there's a dead, plump, dead deer lying in front of them in the forest or where the natural habitat is, they are not going to feed on that plump deer. Now, the third stanza. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. Again, here it is written should be, means he is supposed to be. Instead of walking those few steps in his cage, he should be lurking in shadow, he should be snarling around houses. So these two stanzas, they tell us that the tiger is supposed to be in his natural habitat. Snarling means that aggressive growl with bared teeth, when some animals, some ferocious animals, they make that sound when they're angry, that is called snarling. At the jungle's edge. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge. Edge means outskirts of the jungle. Means the settlements that are outside, just outside the jungle. Bearing his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. Fangs means that large sharp tooth, that canine. So those carnivorous animals have those long canines. That is called fangs. Okay, here it is written bearing his white fangs, his claws. Okay, he is bearing his claws. That means when animals get defensive, okay, they feel threatened. Their claws come out, okay, outside their paws. And their claws are those nails, the nails just push outwards. Then they push their claws outwards in order to attack. Bearing means to uncover. So that is the reason it's written uncovering its fangs and uncovering its claws. How are the claws uncovered? That means they were covered earlier, right? The claws were covered earlier. Now they are uncovered. And how are the fangs uncovered? When he opens his mouth, fangs are uncovered. So he's snarling, he is baring his fangs and claws to terrorize the village. Now the next stanza. But he's locked in a concrete cell, his train behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. But sadly, the poet is sounding a little sad. Concrete cell means jail, and concrete cell means cemented jail. Listen. The poet has not used the word cage. The poet has used the word cell. That means jail. So the poet is trying to tell us that the tiger is like a prisoner. The tiger is like a prisoner. He is in a cemented jail. He wants us to see the tiger as a prisoner. Behind bars means, have you heard of people who go to prison, they are jailed? We say that that person is behind the bars. That bars is that iron rod that makes up that grill of the jail. Those long iron bars is what it's been talked about. So his strength is behind bars, stalking the length of his cage again. What else can he do? Ignoring visitors. So he's ignoring the visitors who have come to see him. And despite the fact that they're so excited to see him and to take pictures of him, just like a paparazzi. So just like that, they're taking pictures of him and so happy to see him. But the tiger is ignoring them because he is not liking all those things. So he does not want to be an eye candy. Tigers are not like that. These are ferocious animals. So he is ignoring the visitors. Then he hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Okay, now listen to me very, very carefully. This voice is not of the patrol cars. everybody is saying that this voice is of the petrol cars. It is not. The voice is produced by the vocal cords. Go check its meaning. This voice is not of the petrol cars. Cars cannot produce voice. It produces sound because cars do not have a vocal cord. Do you understand that? So this voice is not of the petrol cars. Once you check the meaning, you understand the meaning of voice. It is produced by the vocal cords and hence cars cannot have a voice. Non-living things do not have a voice. Do you understand that? I hope you do. So we may assume that the voice is of the zookeepers or the patrolling officers who are in the cars. Because I don't think visitors are allowed so late at night. So the voice cannot be even of the visitors. They have to be the zookeepers or the patrolling officers. And by he hears the last voice at night, the poet is also trying to say that the tiger was used to of the peace and quietness of the forest. Here he has to listen to the voice of people, voice of human beings around himself from the morning and onwards all throughout the day till night. Patrol means to guard. So the job of these patrol officers is to see that whether every animal is inside the cage, whether no animal has escaped from its cage. That is what their duty is. Looks like he's a prisoner, right? Isn't it? As if the patrolling officers are looking around to see whether the tiger hasn't escaped from that concrete cell. Just like it happens with the prisoners. The police go on a patrol to see that no prisoner has escaped from the jails and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. So my first interpretation is that the tiger is bored, and just like he's bored and he has nothing else to do, so he's just looking up at the sky because everywhere it is dark and only the stars are shining. So that is what catching his attention. That is what at that moment he's finding beautiful. So he's just sitting and staring at the stars. Just like we do when we are outdoors and it's dark and we look up at the sky and sit there, just observe the stars. So that's the first interpretation. My second interpretation that is deeper and more interesting for me, that when tiger was in the forest, he was watching those stars. And when he came to the zoo, the stars are still there. So the sky is still the same. The stars are there. The same stars he used to see in the forest. So this is something that has not changed for him. They are constantly with him, isn't it? So the stars are giving him comfort and the feeling of familiarity that I'm there with you, whether you are in the forest, in the zoo, in this cage, I'm still there for you. I'm here with you. The stars have accompanied him from the forest till the zoo. The stars are his companions. So when the tiger is so sad in the zoo, the stars are making him feel loved. Okay? I hope you understood that. And this is all. See you next time. Thank you for watching.